Kasey, are you ready for me? Hey, you're on mute. Go
Yep,
ahead and
I am here.
perfect. Awesome. Without waiting at all, I'm just going to add your presentation to screen. I'm going to let you take it away. I'm really looking forward to your session and kicking off today's event.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Derek. I'm so excited. One note, I don't see the chat when I present. So if I go over time, please just let me know. It's totally fine, but I will keep an eye on the time. So my cutoff is 45 minutes.
43. Yeah, you'll be
43.
good. I promise. You'll be good.
I added 2 minutes for myself.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. Hi, everyone. So excited to be with you here today, be one of the opening speakers. You have one heck of a day prepared for you. And we're going to start with talking about email, which is super important. And if you haven't heard already, email is super important because it's an owned marketing channel as opposed to social media, as opposed to a lot of other channels that you rent where you don't own the audience. Email and SMS are your owned platforms. And that's why I'm so passionate about email. And as Derek mentioned, this presentation is tailored towards brands and founders and marketers who are in more of a beginner of their journey with their brand. And so I will show you a case study of how we went from zero or almost $0 in email revenue to $17,000 in email revenue in just 30 days. And this is like an actual case study, and you see screenshots from an email platform, Klaviyo, right here, where you see that in June, this brand was making $776 in email revenue, and then next month in July, they were at over $17,000. So I'm gonna tell you how we do that and how you can do that as well. And I encourage everyone to stay until the end because I prepared some bonuses, free bonuses for you. So if you stay till the end, I'll tell you how to get a PDF from me on how to set up the most overlooked email automation. Like if you look up 10 most important email automations in Google, you probably won't see this one. And then I'll also send you the deck of this presentation as well. Very shortly about me, my name is Kasey. I run Luck & Co agency. I also am the founder of the agency, and we are a retention-focused team. We work with 7- and 8-figure e-commerce brands, so we're super focused, just work with e-commerce and just do email and SMS, and we help our clients grow their email revenue 2x, 3x, sometimes even 5x. And I've been in email my whole professional life. I've been featured in the Huffington Post, Growth Hackers, a few other online publications, and I just love email and always have loved it, even though it sometimes is a little weird. Not everybody gets it. As a team, we've generated over 20 million in revenue for our clients. And again, all of our clients are e-commerce brands. And as you can imagine, in doing so, we've tried every strategy in the book, ran hundreds of A/B tests by now. And now in this presentation, I condensed all of that experience and all of our trials and errors into one framework that we're now using for every client, with every client that we work with. And it works every single time precisely because it's a framework that is based on our experience and based on what works. And this is just another case study to show you that this strategy or framework works not only for beginner brands, but also with brands like this one, for example, that is making about $400,000 in total Shopify revenue, and about 50,000 of that was coming from email for them in February. And then in March, we took them to $187,000 in email revenue. So in just 30 days, we 3x their email revenue, and as a percentage, it went up from 13 to 30%. So these are the kinds of results that we drive for our clients and that I want to teach you how to drive for yourself. So if you're ready, give us a thumbs up in the chat and the comments. And I'm going to share 2 secrets to going from 0 to 5 figures in email revenue in 30 days. Secret number 1, how to make revenue from email on autopilot. At Luck & Co, we always say that everything that can be automated should be automated. And we believe that 10 to 15% of your monthly online revenue, like your monthly Shopify revenue, if you're on Shopify, should be automated and should come from automated emails. And if you're super new to email, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. So overall, there are 2 kinds of email communication. One is automated email triggers. automated or triggered emails, and the other kind is one-time emails. And frequently they're called flows and campaigns. So flows are series of automated emails that start sending based on the trigger, and then campaigns or newsletters are just one-off. You decide when to send them and you send them. And so in the first half of the presentation, we're going to talk about flows. And as I mentioned, they should be about 10 to 15% of your overall monthly online revenue. On the screen right now, you see an example of a super simple flow. If you're not familiar with what an email automation is, it always starts with a trigger at the top, there are time delays, and then the most exciting part of the email automation is, of course, the email itself. And speaking about the benefits of automated emails and why you should have them and why you should focus on them first before you do anything else, automated emails by default and by nature and definition are extremely timely and relevant, because a good way to think about automated emails and non-automated emails or campaigns is automated emails is when your customer or your shopper tells you, hey, I want information about this. And they tell you that through some type of behavior that they're just displaying. And campaigns or newsletters is when you decide when you want to send the shopper some kind of information. And of course, when the shopper is requesting that information, your email is going to be super timely. It's going to be super relevant because it's delivering exactly what they want when they want it. And of course, such emails are super effective. Another great thing about automated emails is that once they're built, they really require minimum maintenance and kind of just run on their own. Of course, as an advanced strategy, you can add A/B tests, you can continuously optimize flows, which is something that we do, but really it's not necessary. If you really do a great job from the beginning, they just run and make 10 to 15% of your overall revenue on a monthly basis. And of course, because they're automated, they scale as your company scales. So it really pays off to build them at the beginning, because then you will increase your traffic, you will increase, you will invest more in other marketing channels. And as your company grows overall, the email automations will be that front that kind of handles all of that new traffic and makes the most out of it in converting them, and then in helping existing customers come back and reorder from you. And of course, because of that, point number 4, they improve your customer retention, which is something we are all about, because retention makes or breaks your company in the end. So here's another case study, and here I'm going to tell you exactly what we did. So we're looking at February right now, and as you can see, look at this in this pink box, the second number that you see, the revenue from flows that this company was doing, is about $1,300. And as you can see here, all $1,300 were coming from the welcome flow that they had. They had one single email in that flow, and that was it. They didn't have any other flows back in February. Then we came along, and in the first month, we've improved the welcome flow, and then we added one more flow, the abandoned checkout flow. And so now their flow revenue, their automated revenue, jumped to $21,500. And then in the next month, and as you can see here, we go from February to March to April. Now they're making almost $7,500, $75,000. Speaking too fast, from their flows or their automations. And as you can see now, there are lots of different emails. Welcome flow is multiple emails, not just one email. Abandoned checkout, added to cart, sunset unengaged subscribers, customer thank you, and the post-purchase flow. And another tip or secret that I want to share here is that this is something that all of our best partners and best clients do, as they see that they can now rely on email so much to convert their traffic and to bring the revenue to their bottom line. They take that revenue and they reinvest it back into acquisition and drive more traffic to their website. So you'll see that the overall revenue also jumped tremendously for this brand in just a matter of 60 days. And that's because they saw that their email is growing like crazy. And so they just took that money, reinvested it back into their business. And this was actually during like the hardest months of the pandemic. And despite that, this brand had a really, really great run with their business. So if you're asking yourself, so what flows exactly do I need to build to get these kinds of results? This on the screen right now, there are 10 flows that are kind of our standard go-to flows. And really, if you have these and if you do a great job with these, you can easily get to 10 to 15% of your revenue coming from automated emails. So a good way to think about them is the first 5 of them are tailored towards conversion, and then the last 5 are tailored towards retention. And that's something that I really like to emphasize, is that email is really should be focused on 2 things: converting your new subscribers and your shoppers into customers, and then taking those customers, engaging them, activating them, making sure that they have the best experience with your product, and then helping them come back and reorder from you, driving your retention numbers. If you're really at the beginning of your journey, if you've never set up an email before and this list is overwhelming, I've highlighted the 4 kind of highest priority flows that you should build. So go for welcome, abandon checkout, post-purchase, and the reorder flow. And again, these are some benchmarks from the industry. The average percentage of your revenue that should be coming from automations is 5 to 7%. We like to see 10 to 15%. Sometimes we see 20% with our partners. So if you're somewhere in between those numbers, then you're doing great or good, and you can move on to the next step. So just to sum up, step number 1 is activate 5 to 10 email flows in your email platform ASAP, because they will be converting and retaining customers while you sleep. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, just write them in the comments. I will come back and reply to you. I know that we might not have the time for Q&A, but I do want to make sure that if you have questions, I'll be able to get to them. And now moving on to secret number 2, now that some of your revenue is automated by email, how do you go from 15 to 30% of your revenue coming from email while building a strong brand and not getting into spam and not discounting all the time? And this is when we come to campaigns, the other type of email communication that I mentioned at the beginning. And as you remember, the difference between flows and campaigns is that with campaigns, it's us who decides, like us as a brand or as a sender, decides when to send, what to send, and who to send it to. And because we decide on all of those things, those become the most frequently asked questions that I hear. And specifically, a lot of brands ask me, so what should I send? And especially for brands who don't discount, or maybe to recalibrate this, a lot of brands come up to me and say, hey, I don't want to be discounting in my emails. What should I be sending? And there's this myth that exists that if you're sending emails, all of those emails should be focused on deals or on discounts, which is so not true. I would say 95% of the brands that we work with, they barely discount ever. And we still send about 2 campaigns every single week. And we constantly find new things to talk about, even though most of our clients have very few SKUs. So what do you talk about? Just take any of your products and then in one email talk about the benefits, in another email talk about ingredients, in a third email talk about use cases. And remember to keep your emails short and sweet, and don't try to, like, if you take one product, don't try to say everything there is to say about this product in that one email. Just pick one specific angle on this product and talk about that in that email. Remember that the main point of the email is to bring the reader from their inbox into the website. And then on the website, on the product page, they can learn a lot more about that product. So keep that in mind. And when you get used to shorter, crispier emails, you'll see that you actually have a lot of topics and a lot of ideas to pick from. We love creating emails and creating campaigns around reviews. So just really read into the reviews that you have on your website, pick a few of them on a particular topic that are kind of united by theme, and do an email about that. You can always do an email about company news, whether you launched a new rewards program, launched a new product, had any other updates. That's always a great topic. Sale and discount is kind of self-explanatory. Obviously, if you have a sale or a deal, you want to email your customers and subscribers about that. Blog post feature, if you have a blog, say a few words about that blog post, put it in the email, link to that blog post, and send that email. That's a great engagement piece. And then overall, any type of engagement content. And when I say engagement content, I just want to emphasize this idea again, that not every campaign should be about sales. You have a lot of people in your database, and they're all at different stages of their customer journey and buying intent. And a lot of those people simply need education about your products. Maybe they need education about your brand and what you stand for. If you're building a digitally vertical brand, that branding and your philosophy and your mission and movement that you're a part of is almost as important as your product. So talk about that in your campaigns as well. And that can be a great relationship building content that you can send directly to your people. If you want more guides on creating email campaigns, I have a YouTube channel. Go check me out. Just type in Kasey Luck email. I'll probably come up, and I have 2 cool emails. One is about building a whole, like planning a month full of campaigns. And then this other one that you see on the right, Mother's Day e-commerce email. I picked Mother's Day as the topic, but really I just explain how I approach planning an email campaign. So watch those for a lot more info on how to do that. When it comes to the next question, when should I send my emails? All of like that question is very specific to your audience, and I always say test it out and see what works for your audience. Depending on what email platform you use and how many subscribers you have, you might have features such as smart sending that Klaviyo has, for example, where you send your campaign with that feature, and Klaviyo automatically sends it in chunks over the course of 24 hours, and then you send a few campaigns that way, and Klaviyo figures out at which times your particular audience opens your emails the most. And so that is the most reliable data, and that is the most reliable answer to the question when to send your emails. If you don't have those features with your email platform, or don't have enough subscribers yet to test this with, then our go-to days are Tuesdays and Thursdays. They seem to have the best open rates and the best engagement in terms of clicks and revenue as well. So I recommend those. For most brands that we work with, the weekend doesn't really do well. I've heard that for some brands it works great, but in my experience, it never really worked. So we stick to Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wednesday is also a great day to send emails on. And then last but not least, when it comes to campaigns, who should I send the email to? The rule of thumb here is please don't blast everyone on your list. The most important thing when you're deciding or when you're planning your campaigns is to decide who to send it to. And what we do, and what I highly recommend, is to send campaigns based on engagement. And think about it this way: you have people who are opening a lot of your emails. We take that as a signal that those people are interested in your stuff and interested in your email, so you should send more stuff to them. There are also other people on your list who subscribed, so they want to be on your list, but they're not really opening your emails. That is a signal that they're not as interested. They might still be interested in your brand, they just don't want to see an email, every other day from you. And so you want to send to them less frequently. So what we do is we build segments based on engagement. Let's say engaged 30 days. That means opened or clicked or took another action, such as adding to cart in the past 30 days, and then the same thing for 60 days and 90 days. And so the engaged 30-day segment gets the most emails from us. So we send almost every single campaign that we create, we send to them. And then engaged 90 days only hears from us maybe twice or 3 times per month. So that is kind of the go-to strategy for segmentation. You can always create segments based on the particular products that people bought. So for example, you want to do a promotion on product X. You say, hey, who in my subscriber database ever bought this product, or who in my subscriber database ever added this product to cart? Maybe they didn't check out, but they've added it to cart. You build that segment, and then you just send the email to them. Or maybe you send that's a big promotion. You send the first email to everybody in your database, and then you create a follow-up email. And then that one you only send to those product X interested people. When you send when you segment, when you send campaigns, it really helps with your deliverability, which means you are staying out of the spam box. That means you get into the primary tab on Gmail much more often. And it just ensures that your sender score is great and that your email metrics open rate, click rate are high, and your overall reach in terms of how many people are actually seeing your email, that number goes up as well. So that is something that I recommend. Just as important, so the segments that you do send to are important, but the segments that you want to exclude are almost as important. So for example, if somebody purchased from you in the past 21 days, you don't want to be sending a campaign to them unless it's like a clearly an engagement-based campaign and not a sales campaign. So create a segment like that and just exclude it from most of your campaigns, and you're going to see your ROI and your email metrics go up with that as well. I always feel a little bad when I talk about segmentation because it's a huge topic. And if you're just a beginner, you might be overwhelmed. But most importantly, don't just blast to everybody. Create engagement-based segments. If you need more help with that, feel free to just Google engage 30 days email segment, and you'll get great training on that. Again, go to my YouTube page. There will be more videos coming out about that very soon. And to summarize this part, secret number 2, send email campaigns once or twice per week, and make sure that you mix promotional and educational content, and send based on engagement, and don't blast to everyone. How are we doing so far? Is all of this helpful? If it's helpful, please give me a yes in the chat. If you have questions, ask your questions. Putting this all together, secret number 1, create and activate 10 essential email flows. And secret number 2 is, on top of that, send campaigns once or twice per week. Now, and then very soon you'll see your numbers come up. And again, we've talked about some of the benchmarks where you want your overall email revenue to be about 30% of your overall revenue, and then your automated revenue should be at 10 to 15%. What should be your next steps from here? Option number 1 is you can do it all yourself, which is totally a viable option. And if you're at the beginning of this journey, then just start slowly and do one step at a time. Option number 2 is you can hire an agency, which is also a great option if you're a little bit further in your journey and you have resources and you just know that an experienced team will be so much faster and so much more effective at getting these kind of results for you. However, if you don't have the resources to hire an agency, and you also are just not prepared to do it all yourself because you have a ton of other things to do in your business, there is option 3, and that is assisted DIY. And this is something that I wanted to present to you that I'm super excited. And assisted DIY is when you can follow our blueprints. So I prepared a special offer for the attendees of today's event, today and tomorrow. As I mentioned, like, we do this all day, every day for e-commerce brands, and we've built a ton. I don't even know how many email flows and email automations by this date. And so what we did, I have people reach out to me like every week, multiple people, and say, hey, Kasey, can your agency help us? And they're at the very beginning of their journey, so we can't help them because we won't be able to get the results that they want, and they just won't get the ROI that I want them to see on the fee that they pay us. And so I say, hey, you can take our blueprints and do everything that we do yourself. And so what we did is we put together the templates and the blueprints for all of those flows that we built, that I just showed you, that list of 10 flows. And we call it Flow Master. So what it looks like is it's a platform. You go in, I'll share the link in just a second so you can check it out yourself. And there will be an email, like there will be a blueprint with an exact example of the email that we've built for that flow, for every single flow and every single email in each flow. And then on top of that, if you guys wanted to join this today, I also prepared a bonus where we actually install all of these automations into your Klaviyo platform if you use Klaviyo. So it's only available for Klaviyo users right now. And Flow Master, we usually sell at $14.99. And then the Klaviyo installation of all flows is valued at $550. So the total comes to a little bit over $2,000. But then today I want to offer everything, all of that, at $990. So if you're interested, to check it out and see what it's all about, go to flowmaster.vip and check it out. Again, if you are attending this event or watching this event in the recording, this deal will be available to you, but just this join today bonus is only available today. I'll extend it until tomorrow because this is a 2-day event, so August 4th and August 5th of 2021. If you stayed until the end to get those bonuses that I promised at the beginning, the PDF and the slide deck of this presentation, to get them, just email me. My email address is on the screen right now. And in the subject, put ecom future bonuses. And then I'll just send those free bonuses to you. Again, this is the Flowmaster deal if you're interested. And that is it. And I really ran through this all. Sorry if I was too fast. But I wanted to make sure that I go through it all. Derek, thank you so much for having me. I don't know if we have time for Q&A now.
We've got just a minute. That was amazing. And certainly later tomorrow, or was it today or tomorrow? Wow, I forgot already. I think it's later today. Preflect is going to be demoing their tool, which actually pushes, they analyze your user base using AI, very fancy, and then they can push custom segments to your Klaviyo and to your ad platforms, which I think, and to like any email service provider really, which I think is a little bit, it kind of is like icing on the cake of what you're talking about with segmentation.
Amazing.
And exclusions. Because the truth of the matter is, especially for subscription brands, sometimes you don't really know who your best customers are, and you're looking at one purchase, but maybe not all the purchases, and you're also not understanding demographically and psychographically who your best customers are. So there's a lot that can be done in that segmentation component. We've got a question here from Matthew. So he said, wait, I want this question first. Sorry, he's got a few questions. He says, does design matter for email flow? So, well, like I think I know what you're going to say, but I like, where does design come into play for email marketing?
Design is super important, but I think that most people don't really understand or have a misunderstanding about what design is. For me, great email design is when your email is very clear, it's very easy to digest, and it's super easy for the reader to understand what you're trying to communicate and take action on that. So if you achieve all of that, you have great email design. And like if you have amazing branding and you're achieving all of that, and then it also like looks beautiful and matches your branding across all of your marketing channels, then that's an icing on the cake. But that's kind of my take on email design. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I think people sometimes optimize for design over optimizing for user experience. So here's just like one simple example, might be like how we might have a very big header bar and this image that like these are the first starting points of a newsletter or an email blast, or maybe it's a flow campaign or an abandoned cart or something like that. But at the end of the day, a 2-liner text with a hyperlink link going back to the cart might convert better. So like user experience is about getting the information that they need to make their action. And so good design enables that, but sometimes beautiful design is not good design. And so
exactly. That's my point. Exactly. And I think when I say design, actually what you mentioned, if we're talking about abandoned checkout email, having that 2-liner and the image of the abandoned product at the top, that's good design for me. Like that's good design for this type of email. And that's why I say, yes, design is super important, but first we need to make sure that we understand the word design the same.
Yeah, I think we could have a whole battle on that, and I think we're on the same side. I think it's us against the world in the sense that like everyone can kind of agree that it should be about what makes people more revenue, but then when you see e-commerce merchants, executives, heads of marketing get into it and actually start doing it, they're like, oh no, we need our logo at the top. Oh, we need this and that. It's like there are certain things that like you don't need this. You need it to be clear for the user. And so I think that's never ending struggle, and there's a lot that can come from there. Here, let me pull up Matthew had a couple other good questions here. So the question about sending campaigns daily to, well, yeah, I think we want to send campaigns. You said, the right time, the right place is when we send campaigns. I don't think it's about daily, but what do you think about sending campaigns daily, and how you might segment? What is there a frequency that's too much for sending email?
Well, it really depends on your audience, on the size of your audience as well. I do think that there's such a thing as too frequent. And I especially so in this question, the person Matthew is asking if you're sending to the same segment. So if you're sending to the same people, I think that every single day is too often. But the metrics that you monitor to understand and to get feedback whether it's too often or not, too frequent, is your open rate, your click rate, and very importantly, your unsubscribe rate. So keep watching those numbers and they will tell you whether it's too frequent or not. Like my ideal frequency is between 2 and 4 times per week, to similar segments that have overlaps, but not exactly the same segments. But if you have like different segments and you're sending to different people, then send as often as you want, as long as the same person doesn't receive an email from you every single day.
I love it. Awesome. So for those listening to get set up by yourself using the Flowmaster, go to flowmaster.vip. If you want to chat with Kasey, you've got her email address right here. Kasey at luckandco.agency. Kasey, thanks so much. We're going to move right into our next session.
Thank you, Derek. Thank